talking. Let's do that. So I didn't have anything to talk about actually. Um, Originally, I know, hard to imagine, but I recovered, so don't worry. And I was thinking, oh, I'll just check in and see how people's work with constriction versus expansion is going, noticing moments of contractedness, noticing moments of expansion. And then I thought that's a good idea. And Greg led last week very beautifully on this question that we were asking, which is, what do we think we need to be okay? Not even happy, but just truly okay. And I had a juxtaposition of things happen yesterday, and I thought, oh, this is interesting because right in the same moment, things are okay that are happening, and things that were not okay were also happening. And it literally wasn't exactly the same moment. And I thought, well, this is interesting, isn't it? It's not quite that black and white, is it? Life is complex, actually. And so when we're in learning the Dharma, the truth of things as they are, often we segment concepts, ideas, right, in order to understand them well. And then we get into real life and go, well, I don't know. How do you know the difference between that and that? Right. And so I thought I would use my own experience as I try to do as an example, and then talk about what are the factors then? What are the factors as taught by in the Buddhist traditions and other contemplative traditions regarding how do we resolve right action then? Given that in every moment, I think it's actually very probable, isn't it, that there are elements of contractedness, grip, tightness, fear, worry, concern, might be any and all aggression, as well as this, goodness. How am I going to be a contribution? So I've been with Rotary now since 2020, it turns out, and Andy Laub, one of our Sangha members, invited me to a breakfast, and I went to the breakfast, and I really was taken by the commitment of everyone in the room towards service. And in fact, the mission of Rotary is service above self. And the minute I heard that, I was like, oh my God, that's the Bodhisattva vow. Service above self. And so these are my people. And it is actually correct. Each one is there beautifully, lovingly to be of service, right? And so I'm like, these are my peeps. And so I sign up, and within the year, of course, they want me to lead something because I have a big mouth, and those people evidently get into those jobs because they're not afraid to open their mouth. So I get the job of community service chair. And I also love this. Why? Well, I'm here for service. And then I'm going to lead this club in finding service opportunities every month in which to participate, and right, whether it's ecological, whether it's feeding the hungry or the homeless or unsheltered friends, whatever it is, it's all good. And I have a group of people deeply committed to the endeavor until the signups. Yeah, you already know. Yeah, you already know. Until the sign up. And I can't because, and I can't because, now I can't. I'm going, okay, well, you know, life happens too, right? There's all kinds of things that are also important. Not everybody can do everything, and not at every moment, but somebody should be able to do something is also my thought. And out of a 30-something person Rotary, all committed to service above self, I'm giving you a month in advance. We probably should be able to pull this off, team. And we really can't get it happening. And I'm thinking, is it me? Am I just not coming up with interesting things? And so I work on writing a grant with the Nature Collective down at San Elijo Lagoon, because I think, okay, outdoors. Who doesn't love the outdoors? Oh, but wait. And so we have Rotarians Day at work today. And at Rotarians Day at work today, out of a club of 34, I have as many Sangha members coming as there are Rotarians. And I decide yesterday, finally, that I'm going to step down from the community service chair position. And I'm not upset. And I'm actually not at all. I value the Rotary no less today than the day I joined. And I knew it was 100% right to do so. And what did I use to determine the rightness of that? Since there's constriction and expansion completely, isn't there, in both of these endeavors? I love the Rotary. I love the idea of service. I love the doing of it. I love the, right? I don't even mind setting it up. That's easy for me. And I realized that I use the very same 5 factors that we use for right speech. And I thought I would talk about that. And then we're going to practice with it a little. What are the 5 factors? Does anyone know? 5 factors for right speech. Anybody know out there?
Truth.
That it is accurate, said Greg, that it is true. Yeah, what else? Critical. Is it true? Yes.
To be honest in yourself.
No, that's the truth,
That's
both
the
inner
truth.
and outer.
Okay.
Is it right timing? Is this the moment? Even if it's true, is it the moment in which to express that truth or to actualize that truth? Timing. So right timing is a factor. Anybody know what else? Right intention. Yeah. Is it kind, caring, generous, patient? Right? It has to have a quality in it, even if it's right timing, even if it's the truth. You can also be, right, condemning. You can be judgmental. You can be, right? This is now not going to be of greatest service, says the teachings. So it must come from right heart. And in the Buddhist tradition, the Eightfold Path, we say right view, right thought. So if I'm thinking these guys are just idiots, I better hold up, right? Then I better wait and really look more closely at the decision. So does it come from the best heart, the good heart? Will it be a benefit? Is its result going to be towards the good? Is my stepping down now, here's just a nice question, from the chair position going to be towards the greater benefit of the club? This was an important question for me. Now it's really to my benefit. There's no doubt about it, because it's more time than I need to spend. Is it my greatest contribution? The answer is it is not. Is sitting in meetings the best thing I could be doing as I'm trying to influence and impact the world in the positive way? The answer is no. Might we do it anyway? Yes. Towards the greater good? Yes, you might. You might sit in the meeting anyway, right? You might doodle on your paper anyway. You might, if there was impact that you went, you know what, I'm gonna do this. And what's the other? So it has to be a benefit. It has to be true. It has to be right timing. It has to come from kindness. What's the other? No harm. What, even if the result is a benefit, long-term, right? And by the way, I believe it is. I believe there's somebody else who may be able to engage this group in a little better way than I can. Can I do it in a way that doesn't cause harm? And so I decided yesterday was the day, because it's 2 months before the new term for the new president. They are going to be reflecting on this, who's going to be in these positions, who's on the board. It's right timing because everybody's got plenty of time now to find a person who's going to be able to do this. I have the whole year booked out. We're not going to not do anything of service for the next 2 months. In fact, we've got probably some of our best stuff coming in the next 2 months, right? And is it best for me? Well, I already said it wasn't. It's a little too much time. It's a little too much conversation about budget and line items. That's probably not where my heart gets lit up, honestly. And I don't really have much to add. I'm not a finance person. They look like numbers on a page for me. And so I decided yesterday to resign. And I resigned from the position, and I'm waiting for some negative, what do you mean? Why are you doing it? And everybody goes, okay. Everybody goes, okay. And I go, because it's right. It's right. It wasn't, wait a minute, what do we have to do to talk you? Right? Okay. And I understand why. Because the things I choose, I already understand this, are somewhat physical. We're going to be hiking and weeding and planting today, right? Now, by the way, doesn't it sound amazing? It does. It doesn't sound as amazing if you're 83 years old. If you have a health issue, if you've got a rotator cuff problem, if you just had a heart surgery. By the way, more than half of that club fits that criterion. Oh, now it all, right? See the parts? Click, 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 click. The Dharma. There's the Dharma, right? You can feel it, can't you? It's like a vibration, like, wow, that's right. It's exactly right. I'm not the best person for this at all. I'm just energetic. And in fact, I'm too energetic for the population that's here. I am not going to be best to serve at all. Does that mean I should quit the Rotary? Absolutely not. Does that mean there's not amazing things to do? There are. And I wonder how often we get stuck just like this. Don't we go, and it can only be me. I'm the only one. I gotta be, it's gotta happen. I've gotta do, I wanna do, even comes into this, don't we? And we clutter. I think we can often get stuck in positions of duty, obligation, believe thoughts that we're the ones, and we actually cause harm. We actually cause harm. Now, it isn't of the worst sort, right? But it's not engaging enough for this club. It's not something they can all go, yay, we can go and buy the toys and bring them to the, right? It's not enough. It's not right. Actually, it is not right, even though it is good. Right? And so I want us to reflect on this because it's too easy to look for these hard and fast moments where we're just clear. Like, oh, absolutely, I'm just going to, right. And there are some of those, aren't there, where you just go, nope, 100% clear. That's the way it is. That's the way it should be. That, and I don't think most of life is that. I think it's, wait a minute, where's the benefit? What's the consequence? Could I sit in the meeting anyway? Is there really a benefit? Is it the greatest benefit? Right? And here I am thinking, oh, maybe I'm a benefit to them in a greater way than they are to me. And I don't know if that's possible, actually. No. And so if you feel like, I don't know, I want you to trust that somebody may be sitting on the other side of this thinking, I don't know either. Because it may not be most right. However easy it is, right? However convenient, however skilled you are. By the way, this was not hard for me, not in the slightest. It doesn't still mean it's the right thing. Do you get what I'm saying? I think we have to invest more, don't we? And I think those 5 factors are really beautiful opportunities to really reflect. Because if it's consequential to you, I believe it's consequential to others. If I'm starting to complain you have to believe they may be starting to complain also. Don't believe it, that no matter what, because I'm so willing or energetic, or I come up with fun things, that makes it the right thing. No, it does not. And I think we all have to pay maybe a lot more attention rather than a little. And that leads me to my second point, and then we're going to sit. The second point is obligation is not sufficient. The existing status is not sufficient, is it? No, this makes it hard now, doesn't it? Just because I always have does not make it sufficient, right? Look at what we use then, don't we? Because I already do does not make it sufficient, right? This is not living the Dharma. It's harder.
Would you say too that your heart is not in it? There's a misalignment there.
Yes,
And you feel that misalignment.
yes,
All the other factors may be there,
right.
but you're not in alignment.
Something's not quite right.
Yeah.
And I don't even know what it is.
Yeah, it's hard to.
Although I get the evidence, because
Yeah.
I'm only getting 3 and 4 people sign up. So I have evidence. Something's not quite right. Right? It's not the project. It's not the energy for the project. It's not that a worthy project. I am overshooting the capacity of the community. It took me a year. Took me a year. Why? You have to see evidence, right? And then it didn't. Well, let me try it. It didn't. Okay, wait a minute. How about, nope, not that either. How about this? No, right? And I know they're caring people, so this isn't my question. And I finally, because of the openness, that's the expanded part, I come into the Dharma. Whoops. This is not right. My son once said to me, and then we're going to sit. My son once said, you should do it because you can. It is not true.
That's something I do.
And it is not true. You should do it. This is my youngest, because you can. Not always. And I think that's hard too, isn't it? Because I can doesn't actually mean it's the most right thing. And so my son was a conference level playing varsity basketball player his freshman year. He played for 3 years. And my father came to a basketball game and said, get him off the court. He's running away from the ball. He was the highest scorer. And as soon as he went the other way. And I finally said, Grandpa thinks you shouldn't play basketball. And he said, what does he say? I hate basketball.
Whoa.
He's a rock drummer. He's a rock drummer. My son's a drummer. He's not a basketball player. Couldn't see that either. Why? He was really good at it. And I mistook it. Right? So be careful. Don't mistake it. Just because you're good at it, just because it's easy for you, just because you're already in the seat, just because it looks like you're the only one. By the way, I don't believe it. I don't believe it. It is not necessarily correct. Right? And so here we are. So this contraction and expansion that we're going to do now is going to be around one of these moments in your life, and we're going to invite that inquiry. Is it right timing? Is it coming from a whole heart? Greg's saying, is my whole heart invested in it? Right from the beginning, my whole heart wasn't in it, because I'm going, well, these people are tough. What's going on? They don't look very invested. I don't think that's true. They're not invested in that way. I think that is true. So let's prepare to sit. I'm going to have to leave early because I'm off to do the weeding that the rest of the Rotarians today will mostly not do. Yeah. So here we are. So we're going to let go of all the words, those concepts of contraction and expansion, right and timing and benefit and duty. And we're just going to come into the body, feeling the sense of this alive body sitting here. And just scanning the body or holding the body as a whole, see where you notice the aliveness. How is the body signaling the present moment for you? I can feel a little light breeze on the face. I've got my feet kind of crooked in an interesting way. And as you're resting in the body, find a place in the body as best you can. For many people, that can be in the breathscape, chest, diaphragm, or belly. And for those with breathing difficulties or challenges, you may need to find another part of the body. And I like that to be, by the way, the end of the out breath, feeling the weightedness of the body as it lands in the seat. Just feeling the release of the body with each out breath, then drawing itself back to itself. Inviting the mind home. And then we invite that whole heart. Remember, it's not just posture. It's not just attention. It's not sufficient. We're now going to invite our wholeheartedness. How do we show up now? Breath by breath, moment by moment, with our full open hearts. And this can be challenging because we rarely invite this kind of full attention towards ourselves. We can fall into unworthiness, we can get bored, we can believe this is not of any benefit, and just notice what comes up for you as you invite the mind home into the body. And you'll notice if you're outdoors like we are that there's sounds and traffic and birds and my voice, all kinds of things happening. And we're not trying to stop them, get rid of them, or eliminate them. Actually, we're just placing primary attention again and again in that felt sense that you elected. This is the practice of renunciation, actually. You're beginning your training here, as well as the practice of generosity. You're giving yourself to yourself, your whole self, each breath. That there's nothing more radically loving, kind, or generous than that. And we have to let go of all that other distraction. Thoughts about the day, thoughts about the events, thoughts about where I'm heading. And this is understood to be right practice. It is the work of the present moment in this beginning practice. stabilizing the mind on the single object of the breath or body. We notice that the mind wanders, and in the very recognition, we are awakened and we commit ourselves once again wholeheartedly back to the breath, back to the body. We are not only renouncing the distracting thoughts of the birds, of the list of the things to do today, of we're renouncing this small, self-cherishing, egoic mind, the mind that wraps around me. And this is the ultimate in renunciation. This small, shrink-wrapped mind of me. And we do that by placing the attention on purpose in a non-conceptual object called the breath in the body, again and again. And you'll notice that the mind is like a rubber band. It snaps right back to me over and over. This is not the problem. The lack of recognition is actually the problem. And so as we're sitting here in stillness, we catch that snap back and we smile. Gotcha. And we commit ourselves once again. This breath, this moment. With each breath that you can attend to, you are letting go just a little bit more of that self-cherishing mind. You're becoming more authentic, more alive with each breath, more present. not lost in thoughts. We begin to feel the space and it's bigger. The mind is not so small, not so stuck. We can feel a sense of spaciousness and room. A greater connection to the body, to the breath, and to the moment. We're climbing out of the weeds of me. Into this more open, spacious, friendly meadow of awareness. And from here, we're already cultivating the first of the Eightfold Path, right view. We're going to be able to see things more clearly, not so locked up in the story of me. And in fact, there is no you separate from this. And so with right view, right thought in hand, we're going to invite the question, what's something you've been struggling with as an action, a decision, something to process through where you have felt a little bit stuck? Where there is both the reality of constriction and expansion, some good things, some not so good or not so sure elements, and just invite that simple question. For me, the simple question was, should I resign? Should I give it another year? What should I do with this role, this relationship? Just identify that one thing. And I'd like you to look at it from what we call that 16th floor view. You're not the one down in it. You're looking at it with this open, curious, friendly, caring attention. And what do you see? if I was looking from that 16th floor view at this situation, I'd have been noticing that I was complaining about the lack of participation. By itself, a signal that something wasn't quite right. So you may notice judgments, you may notice complaints. Actually, many of us notice fear as an obstacle. What if, what about, how do I know? We're looking towards the future as a way of trying to resolve things in the present. That's not useful, cannot be done. So just from right here, see if you notice with the question, what kinds of obstacles arise? This is scary, it's new, it's unknown. That's correct. Maybe I'm going to disappoint others. It's a familiar position usually. And so we get a little bit locked in. I believe I'm supposed to or should. And just notice that all these moments of constriction actually are obscuring the truth. They're all wrapped in the story of me, what I think I'm supposed to be, should be, and they will actually, rather than invite clarity or accuracy, they will contaminate the view. So can you recognize that? And then what is accurate about this situation? If you believe you're the only one, you're wrong. If you believe it's all your fault, you're wrong. If you believe it can't be okay, you're wrong. Those are fear-based thoughts. Likely holding you. So what is accurate? Is it accurate? What is true? The truth is, it's scary. It's unknown. It's hard. It's uncertain. I haven't done it before. So with that perspective, that more accurate, more true, we're trying to eliminate some of the obscurations, particularly fear and judgment. We're going to open the door wider on possibilities. What if I didn't do it? What if it wasn't me? Not only could it be okay, could that itself be a benefit? And to whom? Now remember, if you're not okay in the situation cannot be okay. You are enough yourself. And I bought into the storyline, well, it's not great for me, but I think it's a benefit to others. Remember, that cannot quite be accurate. That's a part of our storyline. can it be a benefit? Taking the very action you have resisted or that you're fearful of taking or you're not sure you should take, can there be benefit actually in taking another action or not action in my case? Is it true? Can there be benefit? Is there potential for seeing the benefit? Is it right timing? Is now or the best time? Is another moment a better time? Why would that be? Where is right timing? And often I like to use for right timing, where might it be the least disruptive? Right, since change is hard, it's often unsettling and ungrounding for a time. Where might be a offering where this can be done with the least amount? And for me, of course, it was very clear, oh, this is exactly the right timing. Is it kind? Is it beneficial from that point of view? Is it patient? Is it generous? And often we mistake generosity as being us doing everything or imposing that duty obligation. That's not generosity. That's demand. Is it loving? And to whom? If it is not also loving to you, it is not sufficient. If you're complaining, if you're residing in judgment, if you're feeling aggressive or shut down, you've already got some evidence that this may not be best for you. If it's coming out of some felt sense of have to, it is not best. So now we have something that's true. We have something that we are cultivating that can be of greatest benefit. We are looking at the qualities that we are bringing to the view. Is it kind? Is it loving? Is it generous to all concerned? Is it compassionate to all concerned? And is it causing least harm? And the truth is, if you're confused about it, my guess is that some harm is occurring. It may not be best for you, which means it cannot be best for others. And then we're going to rest back. We're going to let go of our vignette. We're going to let go of the questions. We're just going to rest back in the body and see what the body has to tell you. We're going to drop beneath the words. The concepts are not sufficient for the answers. They are not sufficient. We're dropping now back into the body. Breathing in opening as deeply as we can, listening deeply. Just see what's there. This is where noticing where contractedness is can be very helpful. And I can feel a kind of contractedness right over my heart. I'm certain that's some kind of protection. Maybe protection from my perceived judgments from others, and more likely, my protection from judgments from myself. See if you can just allow some space and room there. We're not trying to get rid of anything. We're just letting it be, honoring it, and breathing into it, breathing with it. And then we remember in our awakening, the Dharma will be realized. Whatever is most right, most true, can not only live, but can be manifest through you. This is a part of our practice to live in accord with the truth. As scary or hard or painful or confusing as it might be. Noticing where the tight spots are and also noticing where the being open to them is. Contraction and expansion. In the same breath. May we all be well. May we all be safe. May we all have the strength, the perseverance, the courage to act from the greatest truth. Trusting in the right result. And may this practice this very day contribute. And may it continue to shine the light of awareness where it is most needed. And may it be so this very day. So I have about 8 or 10 more minutes before I have to head out to get to my spot. I've got a little bit of time. But I'm wondering, I'm going to check in with the group here. This, of course, is considered a contemplation because we're inviting reflection here, right? We're not just resting in awareness. We're actually calling questions up. We're inviting them. So if you're used to a more shamatha based sitting in stillness and silence, that's what informs this practice. If you're just doing contemplation practices, you're just spending a lot of time thinking, and you're not able to get under the words at any time and really just rest in awareness. So just know they're good for each other, they inform each other, and we need both. Because without the stillness, we can't feel, sense, see, and know what we ultimately need. So thoughts, what came up for you all? You're gonna have to speak up a little bit so that everybody here on Zoom can hear you, and I'll try to restate a little so that we can. What came up? What did you notice?
When you're not in those 5
Factors.
factors,
5 factors of awareness, actually.
you kind of suffer. You suffer.
You suffer, right? Don't you? Did anybody make contact with one of them going, uh-oh, I've not been looking at that. I didn't consider, oh, if I'm in suffering, and if I'm in distress, if I'm in contraction, this can't be of benefit. Now, that doesn't mean we're not scared either. Right? Because the new is scary. The unfamiliar is scary. The unknown is scary. The ungrounded is scary. The future, we could just simply say, is scary. But that doesn't mean it's not right, does it? It does mean, can I recognize how's this going to go?
I think illness is one of the things that you would find.
Yes.
Experience with.
Yes.
And but impermanence, there's something with the ultimate.
That's right. Every moment.
The Buddha spent a lot of time for a good reason,
Yes.
because that fear of death is the deepest.
Yes.
Everything else seems to bring.
It does, actually.
And so reflecting on that, and the contraction, and where the expansion.
Yes.
That's even a more interesting question.
Isn't it? Yes. Where can I expand?
Where is the expansion?
So
I found some good places.
So what Greg is saying is he's recognizing at his age, stage, and circumstance that the idea of illness and the impermanence of this life, this body, this health, right, even, and this well-being really came up for him. And he invited the kind of inquiry. Well, that's the contractedness of it, the fear of it, the uncertainty of it, is that aspect of it. And where then could he invite expansion? Well, the expansion is occurring in the very knowing of the contraction. That's where it is. And we forget this all the time. The very awakening was actually, said the Buddha, in knowing the suffering. It's right there. And then there's all kinds of, by the way, in the Buddhist tradition in particular, lots of koan-y, riddle-y stuff that goes, how is samsara and nirvana the same? That's one of the Zen koan. How is suffering the exact same as awakening? That's what that means. How is samsara and nirvana exactly the same? Well, because it's exactly the same moment with what? Loving kindness, with awareness, with compassion. The suffering didn't go anywhere.
You know what came up for me with the expansion part, was the interconnectability and the compassion of so many people that I know in my life.
That's right. Who, by the way, are going to be in the same exact spot.
Right.
Because nobody's getting out of this thing alive, right? Everyone's going to experience, what does the Buddha say? Aging, illness, and death, no escapes. And so that's also the expansion Greg is saying, which is, this is not just my story. This is the climbing out of the me. This is everybody's story.
And the loving kindness.
Well, then we could
It's-
only
it's-
feel it.
It's like everywhere.
How could you not feel that then? Because I'm not going to be sitting here, you're not going to be sitting there, and you're not going to be sitting there either. And that tree's not going to be there, and that deck's not going to, right? This is the truth. And once we open really fully, that's the climbing out of the story of me, you heard me say it, into the human reality, right? The human vulnerability. You can only be expanded because there's no more just me. This is me, just like me, all beings.
So easy to miss it.
Well, how don't you know?
Yeah.
Don't you know?
You're just in the contraction,
You don't,
and it just seems like it's like gravity, you know?
isn't it? Like
Well,
inner
stop.
inertia. Like,
Stop thinking about it.
And so the
That's right.
contemplation,
that's right.
because then you can actually start to see it.
Yeah.
Both
These-
sides.
These are called the factors of awakening, by the way. These are the factors of awakening. How do you stay lost if you're asking those questions? Well, you can't quite. You can't quite, you know.
Have an awareness.
You gotta wake up to it. Here I am in wakefulness of my own fear, my own resistance, my own not liking, my own wanting something else, my own just wishing for another circumstance, moment, or right. And I noticed that little protection over my own heart. I was like, oh, this is interesting because I know it's the right thing. I actually am very clear now it is exactly right. And by the way, that's not any confusion. But now I'm worried about judgment. I could feel it. Now I'm worried. They're going to announce this next Friday. We're going to need a new community service. And I could feel me going 100% clear. And I mean it. I am not confused about the rightness of this. Now I'm projecting. Now I'm worried about them. There is no them. Remember, if it's not right for you, it can't be right for them. It's not possible. I know we tell stories about this. Like, oh no, I can do it. It is best. But no, it isn't. No, you're just scared, grabbing onto the ground of called familiar, or I know how to do this, or I know how to dumb this down, or I know how to slog along. Really, they're going to go, you're not doing that anymore. Now, by the way, remember, I already got 2 okays. They may clap. This is my projection. This isn't about anybody else. This is me going, oh, but because you know what? I know how to do that. I'm pretty good. I'm sturdy. I know how to go, okay, row the boat. You know how to row. Swim the channel. You know how to swim. Take it on. You know how to. Doesn't make it right. Just because you can doesn't mean you should. It's hard, isn't it? And then it makes life a lot more like, oh, now I've really got to be with me in this. Now I've really got to be with me in this. Don't we? And then what did Greg say? Then we can be with everybody in it too. Right? Then we go, I can feel for everyone who goes, I don't know, maybe it'd just be easier if I just kept, but it doesn't make it the right thing. And so be watchful of these habits. They're all really wrapped in right there. Anybody? Oh, we got a lot of things happening on chat here. Let's read this before I gotta go. And then I'm gonna hand this over to Greg and Carrie because I think there's probably a few things to say still. Let's see. Everybody's wishing each other well, wonderful. Yeah, these are real issues, aren't they? The Rotary issue is no different than your issue though, is it? It's yeah, they're everyone's issues. You are doing things today. Here's what I can tell you completely honestly. You're doing things out of obligation today. You are doing things out of familiarity today. You are doing things because you've assigned you this function today, but it's not necessarily right. That's what I'm sure of. Is it the Rotary? Well, probably it isn't the Rotary. It's that thing, that role I do, that thing I play. And by the way, it might be as simple as I confronted for myself early on as a householder. It might be as simple as making dinner. But it's just not a big deal. Everybody can make dinner. I was running home, making dinner, going back to work, and I'm going, wait a minute. Why am I, this is not, there's something wrong with this. It wasn't because I couldn't do it though. And by the way, had I been the only parent or the only person or the only, it might have just been the right thing, right? So we can't even say, well, because you don't like it, it makes it the wrong thing. No, you might not like it and it might be exactly the right thing also, right? So we can't use pleasant, unpleasant as the factor. I just saw 11 other people in my house. That started to become, wait a minute. I got bodies over here, capable bodies. What are we doing? Well, it was a very beautiful thing, wasn't it? Because then I'm starting to go to the benefit of all beings. You can make macaroni, you can mix the things together, right? You know how to, I get my sons engaged, I get my sister involved, right? We can all take this on in some way. Well, this becomes a beautiful family exchange. We can't wait to have Tanner's macaroni and cheese, which is still true today. Right? Look at the greater good that propagated from me, not just going, well, I'm the mother. Mothers make dinners. Mothers make dinners no matter what. Is it true? No. Is it right? No. No, not necessarily. And if you're the only one, right? And there's a baby, do what you do, right? Yeah. If someone's deserving of protection, yeah, then you do, and you do it no matter what kind of thing, right? And so aren't all these true? They're all true. That's why life is so beautiful and interesting and multifaceted, right? So I don't want us to get mixed up. It doesn't mean you're not supposed to make dinner. So for those of you who should be rightfully making dinner tonight,
Keep doing it.
don't go. No, she said I didn't have to. She said I didn't have to. I heard her. No, I did not say you did not have to. In fact, it might be you.
Don't have to.
That's right.
Anyway, so in the 5 items,
Yes, those 5 factors.
the last 2, what came up for me was, how do you know? How do you know if it would be a benefit?
That's right.
You know, and how it is. So
That's right.
I kind of got a little bit curious about that.
Yes, we often believe that we have to know the future to know this. This is the error. You cannot go to the future because you cannot know it. You ask the question for now. What can I see, know now as it can be of benefit?
So can be a benefit.
That's right.
Okay.
That's all I have. I don't know tomorrow. I don't know next week. And I don't know you next week because how could I know me? But what do I see as its potential? Can it be a benefit? And the answer is, I could see the way cooking, I'll just use that simple one, was going to be a benefit to my whole family. First of all, they weren't going to get the same 4 things. Well, that alone would have been amazing. And others could get engaged, involved. They were going to be celebrated, right? They were going to cultivate skills. And yes, they weren't going to be so great to start, right? Some things were going to burn and they weren't going to get done and somebody forgot the pickles and okay. And that was all true too, wasn't it? But was the greater benefit there? Well, very solidly. Very, very definitely. And the evidence is 20 years later. Right.
You could also say, you know, if there's a feeling of resentment,
That's,
resentment's a good one because
yes.
there's a lot going on there with your heart.
Isn't there?
But it's like the harm question. That seems like the trickiest one of all. You know, because it's.
If it's causing harm to you, it's causing harm.
That's what I'm my biggest thing. saying is that what you said, ego weeds. And I think of the weeds as, like drowning in a
Yes.
pool where there's weeds covering you.
Yes.
That for me will be the thing that I remember.
You can feel that.
You feel that?
See, you can feel the contractedness of that called I'm supposed to, I have to, it's gotta be me. Right? You can feel that, watch it, because do not mistake, and see, then we go, but I can. Nope, wrong. No, you shouldn't, because others are suffering. It is not just you. And if you think it's just you and that you're being a martyr, if you're right, watch this. We've got a lot of Judeo-Christian support here called It's Supposed to Always Be You. You're the one who's supposed to climb on the cross. Well, nobody benefits. And we've got a storyline that goes, no, it's the good thing. The right thing is for you to suffer. Well, be careful. Actually, we really know through what? Greg said it, interconnectedness, interdependent. How can you be happy if I'm in suffering? Really? How is that? It isn't. How can you be happy if I'm in resentment? How can you be happy if I'm in aggression? Well, there's no possibility for this. But see, we're very good at shoving that all in, don't we? And looking like, I'm good. I'm good. I'm good. No, you're not good. Because if you're saying you're good, you're probably not good. By the way, watch that one. Oh, I'm all good. Are you really? No.
And
No.
then you crash.
Yes.
Right?
And then everything falls apart. You get sick, you get ill, you get depressed, you get anxious, you get whatever you get. And how is this a benefit to anybody? I've got to go. I'm going to turn this over to Greg. Greg, you're going to just keep us chatting. No, the group has not gotten to say much about this yet. Carrie, if you could help him look at the chats. Okay. Greg, if you would also, when you feel like you're done, if you would just do a 2-minute.
I am following you.
Meditation? Okay.
Yeah, and
Oh, I see there.
Yeah,
go.
there we
Okay.
go. There's the bell. All right, guys, I've got to head off because I've got this job that I managed to take on.
I part, yes.
Okay. Actually, I want to make an announcement here before we move on here, so before people start leaving. We're going to be doing another one of the donations to St. Andrews. And that is May the 8th, I think it is, or the 9th. Terry's going to check me out here. It's a Tuesday.
St. Andrew
St. Andrews is a local church.
Episcopal Church?
Yeah,
Yeah, all right.
and they feed every week about 200 families and that are in need of food. And so what we've been doing is every other month getting a donation together, and with food items that include things like canned goods and packaged items and whatever, not fresh foods and whatever, because they have to be things that don't spoil. They put these in boxes for people, and then the people come by and they give them out.
Yeah.
And so that's a Tuesday, and you can bring the items to Carrie's house, which is 1092 Aloha Drive in Encinitas. Or if you want to, you can actually give donations directly to us, to Diana, and a group will go down and buy the item. And we've done very well. They've been very happy with the donations that we've given them. We've several times given them like almost a whole truckload, like a pickup truck. So anyway, that's coming up. So let's see, more discussion. We can have a little more discussion, I guess, on what we talked about here today. Let me look at the chat items here.
Just saying goodbye.
Hmm?
People are just saying goodbye on the chat.
Okay,
Thank you.
thank you. Okay, does anybody else have anything that they want to talk about regarding the meditation today? Just kind of open it up here to some open discussion.
I think the one that I found very most of all, related to fog in there.
Mhm.
and So forth. But the timing for new residents kind of helped me feel confident that whatever situation that I was reflecting on, it's not the time to maybe oh move on.
Mhm. So all the other factors are kind of lined up, but
There was for
But you can see that- right.
debate, and I was trying to look from the I started the 16th floor and then I went to the 24th floor and looked down and try to look at it.
right.
Uh, mm, I think sometimes it's best for, I guess, the universe to provide clarity,
Right.
and I guess that'll stay. Maybe it sounds really mundane, but when the time is right, that'll be. And I'm trying not to talk myself into anything, but just I guess to go with the natural flow.
Right.
And I know Diana was alluding to the fact that sometimes you think we need to do this and we need to do that because, and that's kind of pushing.
Right.
So I covered that as well. And so the beat goes on.
Right.
Just leave it at that.
And
Dennis asks when is the right time for what? Yes, what do you? talking
Well,
about?
it's like, I guess, my relationship,
Mhm.
a long relationship, living arrangements.
Well, that's a
No.
big one.
It's a
And
big
so
one.
I think you have, you need a lot of time for reflection on something like that.
Right.
And we have, it's like Diana said, there are all kinds of things in your day, for instance, little things that maybe we do because we think we have to, or because, we haven't really looked at it that much. And so we're just kind of going on in the road without really considering it. And it's worthwhile to take the time to kind of look at it. But then big decisions obviously would take a fair amount of time and a lot of reflection and a lot of discussion. And yeah,
To have the insight, that thing, oh, are you happy?
right,
So maybe everything's so relative.
right,
You gotta play with it a little bit.
right.
You know, happiness is a feeling and ephemeral, comes and goes. Are you at peace? That's
Yeah.
your state of being.
Good one.
Yeah, just kind of can observe it from that perspective. Would be my share
I-
opinion.
That makes sense.
Thank you. Okay, well, I think we're just gonna go ahead and have a final 2-minute here meditation. So you just find your seat. So just reflecting on this meditation today. What it meant for you. Maybe if you go through your day, you can come back to it again and find some peace with it. Spending some time here this morning in these last few minutes to just get back in touch with the body. Feel where you are sitting. Staying open to everything. Pushing nothing away. breath is an opportunity to be present. The benefits and the blessings of this meditation today be offered to the end of suffering, all beings, and may all beings find peace and peace, be free of pain and suffering.